The next interview is with Janet DuBois Duffy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Bennett. I'm a librarian at the Bayport-Blue Library, and we are here today on Tuesday, June 4th, 2013, with longtime Bayport resident Janet DuBois. Hello, Janet. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
Okay, Janet, could you start by giving us your full name?
Janet DuBois, actually, as we were called, Duffy.
And when and where were you born?
I was born in Northfield, Vermont, and moved down here just before we started kindergarten.
And where else have you lived?
Bayport, then Holbrook for a year, moved back to Bayport, and then moved to Sayville where I bought my first home.
And how many years did you live in Bayport?
Oh, must have been 20,
Plus
23,
years.
20 plus is good.
And how did your family come to move from Vermont to Bayport?
They had previously lived in Beacon. My sister got very sick, my sister Lorraine, and they needed a dry climate. The doctors recommended that she move to either Vermont or to Arizona. So they chose Vermont. It was closer, I guess. And then as she got older, her asthma got better. And my dad loved education. Loved it. He had changed professions. He had become an insurance salesman. Was very successful at it, but preferred education. So he was able to get a job back down here, which was Bayport. He became a math teacher in the Bayport High School and then became principal of Academy Street School.
And can you just tell us your father's name?
Leonard DuBois. Some people will call him Duke.
And what high school did you attend?
Bayport High School.
So let's move into personal experiences and memories. Can you tell us about some of the jobs that you've had?
My main job, I became a regulatory compliance manager for food and packaging with the baking companies, which included Entenmann's, Arnold, Bread, Bobley, Freihofer's. Those were a few of the packages that were there. And then I moved to Haines Celestial with a natural and organic food company and retired. So,
and where were those companies based? Where did you work for that? Bayshore. How did you meet and marry your spouse?
In high school.
Oh.
Yep.
So you both went to Bayport High School? All right. So let's talk about the summer. Bayport and Blue Point are big summer communities. Describe any summer activities that you remember taking part in as you were growing up here.
I don't remember, but there used to be a place down here, I think, up Blue Point Avenue maybe. There were little houses over there and little lockers, and there was a place where you could rent for the summer.
Beach houses,
bungalows.
Yeah,
so we would go over there. And my girlfriend and I would get on our bikes and travel from Oakwood Avenue to down here and go swimming for the day and bike back.
Do you remember what those houses looked like at all?
No, they're just bungalows, just tiny bungalows.
What type of music do you remember listening to?
Oh, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. And Roger and Hammerstein show music. Family would put on the top hits on Saturday mornings, and we'd go just start cleaning the house, and I don't know, it made it more fun, I guess.
But what sort of foods were cooked for celebrations or special events?
Oh, my mom had a special potato salad that had to have the potato salad.
All right, so let's focus on Bayport and Blue Point for a little bit. What's your earliest memory of living in Bayport?
The earliest memory is walking to school, the first day of school. The saddle shoes on my sister and the big skirt, you know. Yeah. Mostly having to do with the school. The town was very small. There was hardly anything there. Shan's was there. It was a deli or a candy store. Maybe it was a stationery store. I remember the candy counter. Much more than that, I don't remember much of the town.
And what was Shan's?
Shan's was a food store, like a grocery store.
What was it like in Bayport when you first moved to town?
It was very nice. It was like right out of the book, Our Town. It was just very pleasant. People were friendly. It seemed like everyone looked after each other. It was very, never locked a door. My uncle used to laugh and say, "You don't even have numbers on your houses. What, do you have to take a stagecoach to get out there?" Of course, we'd all be insulted.
Now, when you started school, was your father a math teacher? in the school?
He
or-
was both the math teacher and the elementary school principal.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
He had dual hats. Yes.
And talk a little bit about how you felt about having your father as your principal.
It was a little bizarre. In the beginning, I was shocked that he was there. I thought I was going to school and didn't know my dad was going to be there. I don't know how I missed that. I guess you're just a child and you don't take everything in. So I was very surprised when I saw him. I begged my parents to please send me to Catholic school.
And that didn't happen. Yeah.
It didn't happen. He said, if I'm the principal here, my children will go to my school. So,
And did you ever have to go to the principal?
yes.
How did that work out?
I was getting older, and you weren't allowed to walk on the grass in the front of the Academy Street School. So the ball had gone over there. So I said, "Oh, I'll get it. Don't you get in trouble? I'll go get it." So I went and I got the ball, and I got in trouble.
Oh.
So I was treated the same as everybody else.
Okay.
You had to go sit down by the wall, opposite the principal's station, and teachers would come by like, "What are you doing there?" Little embarrassing moments.
Do you feel like you were treated any differently by students or teachers?
Not the teachers. Sometimes the kids would say, "Oh, you're doing well because your father's the principal." That wasn't quite true. And on the other hand, funny thing was said, I was brought up at home later, so you couldn't get away with much at all.
Yeah, it was tougher in a way.
It was tougher in a way, yeah. Yeah, so it was unique, for sure.
Do you remember any of your father's memories about being a school principal or teaching in the school?
He loved his teachers. He was very concerned. They actually called it the country club. Everyone got along. He was good. One thing he did, the high school band would practice Memorial Day, marching for Memorial Day around the streets in Bayport. So towards the end, just before Memorial Day, my dad would hit the fire alarm so that all the kids could come out, and the band would come around, and they would hear all the Philip Sousa songs that we would be playing. And it was funny. He did that for years until this one time he just hit the wrong button. So now you had all the kids outside, you had the high school band, and the fire trucks coming.
Oh, boy.
So like, what's going on? How do we get out of here?
That must have been quite a
So it
commotion.
was, it was quite a commotion. Something we could always tease him about.
So, Janet, while we're on the topic of schools, could you tell me what you know about how the James Wilson Young School came about?
Well, I remember a story my dad told me, and he was saying that James Wilson was on the Board of Education, and he had seen this land, and he brought it to the attention that we had some baby boomers coming up, and there might be some schools that needed to be built, and he thought this land would be good. And he was refused. So he went out, and he actually bought the land himself. So then later on, as years went by and needed some land and needed some schools, he ended up selling the land back to or selling it to the school district for his cost. And I guess any charges that he needed to, interest that he paid, but they really got a good deal. So it is rightfully called the James Wilson Middle School now, yes.
So you mentioned the beach and some of the local stores. Do any other places stand out in your mind in either Bayport or Blue Point?
No, I guess not. We other than religious education, we had that on every Wednesday. We were able to come over here to Our Lady of Snow, and then I'd have to walk home for the most part.
You mentioned the Memorial Day Parade.
Yes.
Do you remember any other local events or gatherings?
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Was the Memorial Day Parade a very big deal?
It seemed like it was because you had to go over to Sayville, and then you had to come back, and you played down here in the park in town.
And did you play in the band?
Yes, I
in
was.
the
I
parade?
played the clarinet.
Oh, okay.
My sister Marga played the saxophone, and my brother John played the trombone.
Oh.
And my mom went to the beach when we practiced.
And what else did you do for fun?
I don't know. I did hung around the schools a lot with the gym sets and all, and bicycle riding, playing games with friends. And
Did you ever go into the city, or did you stick around Bayport?
no. We were stuck around Bayport-Blue Point, yeah.
What do you think growing up was most important to people in these communities here, Bayport and Blue Point? Meaning what they cared about the most.
From a child's point of view and from my family, it just seemed like they cared about the children and the education, but that could have been slanted because of the family. Seemed like, my dad was in the Methodist church, my mom was in the Catholic church, so we had some of those activities going on, but it wasn't overwhelming.
Do you remember what residents of Bayport and Blue Point did for a living when you were growing up? Was there any predominant career?
Well, my parents were friends with accountants, bankers, teachers, lawyers.
I mentioned this before. Do you remember when the local railroad station closed?
I remember it closing. I don't remember exactly why. It was sad to see it go. It was a very cute little railroad station. Again, right out of our town, I'm sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about the library for a second, since this is the library's 75th anniversary. Do you have any memories of going to the library when you were young?
Well, I do remember coming over for, and getting books and take them out, returning them. I don't remember anything particular as far as whether there were programs or anything. I don't remember anything like that. It was very convenient. You could, if you go to the church, you stop by here, you go home.
When you were coming to the library, was it in the current building? Do you remember?
It seems like it was in this area. Okay. I would think it was here. It's definitely changed.
You mentioned that you were active in a local church.
Our Lady of Snow.
Yeah. Were you active in any other local businesses or organizations?
No, personally, I was in the high Y, in school, and you would do, that was basically a service organization, but that's all.
Okay. And what was that organization? What did they do?
It was a service meaning I would go get the attendance cards and things like that. Just simple school things.
Okay, so thinking back to when you were little and growing up in Bayport to now, is there any big change that you've seen in the Bayport community?
It's probably the volume. The volume of people, and the housing, and the Little League has changed tremendously. It's huge now. All the fields and everything. I would say that's probably the biggest change. And all of here up on the highway, all the stores up here.
Yes.
I was never there.
What do you miss the most about the way it used to be?
I don't know, I guess quiet, friendly, being able to keep your doors unlocked.
All right, so we've come to the end of our time almost, but is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to add?
No, other than very proud of being raised in Bayport and the town that it was, and I'm sure it still is. Having family in Blue Point, they're very happy here, and they love the school district, so I guess that's all I have to say.
All right, well, thank you very much, Janet.
Well, thank you.
This marks the end of the interview with Janet DuBois Duffy.